Professor Tangen, what strategies can China employ to reduce its dependence on the U.S. trade?
Well, I agree with my colleague in the sense that China has to increase the amount of domestic consumption, but it has the room to do that. Last year, disposable income, in addition to everything you had the previous year that you can spend the way you want, increased by 5%. Compare that to the U.S. and Europe, which were completely anemic, around 1% or less than that. And then you have the Chinese last year saved 45% of their wages. So there's a tremendous amount of money around. Its question is of confidence. And what you saw here in the two sessions was the Chinese government showing a lot of confidence. They have said, look, it's just steady going ahead. We have our plan. If the U.S. wants to do what it does, we are not going to be swayed by it. They used a number of poetry lines to make sure that it's understood that China is a rock and it is not going to be swayed by wind or water coming from the outside. So this is China's main strategy, is to get its economy going, something that it can control. You can't control the global economy.
Professor Jacquet, in what ways might the ongoing trade tensions exacerbate both U.S. inflation?
Well, they could have as well, for sure, an impact on these moves can have an impact on U.S. inflation next couple of weeks or months. Now it will be, I guess, a big issue for President Trump, because if you remember well, in his current and his previous program, you had as well to make America great again in terms of providing employment to people. It's part of his, let's say, strategy to revive this American dream. So if he's not able to provide more jobs, if prices are going up in the next months as well, it's going to be very difficult for him, and it could have an impact on the midterm elections as well in a few years. So this economic rivalry with China, or trade rivalry with China, sorry, is very vital for him as well, because most of its program is based as well on economic recovery.
Professor Tangen, how is China positioning itself as a stable force in global trade relations amid the trade tensions and shifts in U.S. trade policy?
It is simply continuing to be this kind of rock. It's stable, it's predictable, it continues to output good products. This is all that China can do. I mean, they have this dual circulation strategy, which emphasizes domestic consumption that then attracts foreign investment because they see the market opportunities based on everything I've just said. But the United States is it's not a question of if. I used to run elections in the U.S., and I can tell you, quite frankly, people vote with their pocketbook. So in the midterm elections, he's going to get a drubbing. There's already been this month a sharp increase in the number of people laid off, 275,000 jobs. The markets are watching that, in addition to the prices going up, with no end in sight. Current valuations say somewhere between $1,100 and $1,200 per household in a place where 70% of Americans prior to the election, American households, felt that they were living paycheck to paycheck. You don't have the same situation in China.
So the internal economic situation in the United States is actually playing a big role in this tension.
Absolutely. China is looking on as basically Donald Trump sacrifices the very people who voted for him. And they can see quite clearly that he's undermining himself. He's bluffing. He doesn't have the economic wherewithal to do exactly what he's trying to do, which is restart and reindustrialize the American economy. That would take years, and I mean tens of years, to accomplish. It would take a tremendous amount of investment. What businessman is going to invest in a country that's being politicized, and where the leader of that is going to be around effectively maybe for only 2 years and in person for only 4 months? So this isn't going to work out for the United States. It's just simply Donald Trump being Donald Trump, throwing things against the wall, seeing what happens and trying to make deals.